On this episode of Star Trek Universe, Effie and I have a real foolie and get bonk-bonked on the head. We're just a couple of grups reviewing Star Trek the original series, 112, Miri. And if we're lucky, we'll get the captain to look at our legs! Right after these words from our mystery onlys. Welcome into Star Trek Universe. This episode continues my gentle guidance of Effie Ophelders through her first watch of Star Trek. I am David C. Roberson.
And I am Effie Ophelders. I've never seen this shit before. But I do appreciate the gentleness in the guidance.
Yeah, as only one can do when they've seen it so many freaking times.
Yeah. That makes sense. Welcome back, I guess.
Yeah.
I do hope I don't have mystery onlys out there. In that case, I've made some mistakes in my past that I should really look into. Contact some exes.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, it reminded me of a terrible Anthony Jeselnik joke that I will not say on the podcast.
Very well. I'll ask you after.
Yeah. The Memory Alpha synopsis: the Enterprise discovers an Earth-like planet that was devastated by a horrific degenerative disease and is now populated entirely by impossibly old children.
Yep. There's some interesting stuff about development in this episode, and we sort of really quickly skim by the fact that the planet is exactly like Earth, and I guess that's just a probability like doomed to happen at some point on another end of the universe.
Really kind of flies.
It sets up the intrigue, but then it's just gone. Kind
of flies in the face of that great speech McCoy gave back in Balance of Terror about like how all the galaxies, there's only one of us. Like,
right, yeah. Turns out, nope. I guess there's multiple. Oh well.
Yeah. So that to me is the most interesting thing about this episode, and it's the thing they spend the least amount of time on. And
I get that.
Part of me loves it because that's like shit I can play with in my head and be like, right. So how did that happen? And it's
headcanon this shit. Yeah.
Spoiler, it is not the only duplicate Earth they will come across and not explain.
Of course.
Because production value.
Yeah, of course. It's an excuse to just reuse a set from another show that's already on the lot. And yeah. Oh, delightful.
But, one of the really interesting things, and this is not canon, let me be very clear about that. But there have been explanations in some of the novels, the extended universe shit. And for instance, in the Department of Temporal Investigations novel, Forgotten History, Miri's homeworld is described as being an alternative version of Earth from a parallel universe which arrived in the primary universe as a result of a subspace confluence. It was eventually returned to its own universe by the same process in 2275, having been transposed with a Vidala planetoid from the same universe.
Sure.
That's fun, I guess. Like, I like.
Yeah, like I mean, it is fun to have it be like an actual alternate timeline Earth. So it's not a duplicate. It is just the same fucking planet in a weird spot because wormholes and stuff and things. So that's fun. That's an interesting idea.
There is a theory that I like more.
Mm-hmm. But that spoils a bunch of shit, or
it spoils a little, but there's not a lot. Like
I can deal with a little, just a tip,
just to see how it feels.
Yeah. It doesn't count.
So in future episodes, there are references to a species called the Preservers, and these Preservers are the reason why so many aliens look like humans. So there's an idea that they created multiple Earths recreated found systems where the Earth or where certain planets. So like basically several different core worlds that we know have duplicates all over the place. But also a lot of like, we are all of those people, like the humans, the Vulcans, and
some common descendants.
The Romulans, of course, the Cardassians, Klingons, all these different races.
Sorry, there's Kardashians?
Cardassians.
Yeah, no, I heard that, but
I
had to make...
No one knew who the Kardashians were when the Cardassians came out.
It was a better time.
But yeah, so the idea is that like basically we're all preserver DNA and we all evolved slightly differently based on where they placed us throughout the galaxy. So there is like, we don't have a ton. They haven't gone like dig deep on the preservers, but there is some kind of plausible storytelling, like connective tissue, like
interesting.
The preservers may have
but that's
done
probably the wisest thing to do as well. Like if you fully dig into that, it would probably immediately contradict some shit that no one but an ultra fan of that specific episode knows about, and then you get that shit. So it's best to introduce the solution and leave it vague.
Now, when we
let's not get into the evolutionary biology of it all.
Yeah. Now, when we get into stuff like the idea that like these alternate Earths developed the exact same way we did up until a certain point, that gets tricky.
1960s. That's all solid history. After that, fuck all could happen.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a sci-fi reason for it, and I love that kind of shit, that kind of goofy, dumb shit. Because, as much as many Star Trek nerds,
stuff. Yeah.
As much as many Star Trek nerds want you to believe, Star Trek is not hard sci-fi. It's sci-fi fantasy. It's space. Space opera. It's not.
Yeah, it's still very much the there has to be some conflict and some mystery and some and we'll see that in the next episode as well. Spoilers. But
you've watched the next episode.
Is a mixture.
What?
Oh, you haven't? Oh no, God, we'll need to reschedule.
We're not supposed to show them behind the curtain, Effie.
No. I'm sure they hadn't noticed. We do 2 episodes at once on a day. That was a secret. Another production meeting on tape. That is delightful. I'll refrain from mentioning my future knowledge in the future.
That's the sweet spot.
Good. Glad we got from just the tip to the sweet spot. That is delightful.
That's how that works.
Yeah. Anyways, this virus then, after the whole Earth duplicate situation, apparently does affect the kids, but in a way where it does work as intended. But then once you get some hormones in you, you go mad, because that is technically what hormones do to you in puberty. And that go figure. But it to me, that raised a bunch of very confusing questions concerning the age of consent in this universe. But because boy, there's some, it is creepy to an extent. Like it is very weird. And then they try to like twist it into, like, no, she's 300 years old at least, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. At the same time, all of these children seem to be very much stunted in their development, which also then implies a thesis statement about, okay, I guess you need grown-ups and teachers to show you how to become a grown-up. Mm-hmm. Because, well, this children's society does not appear to have 300 years of experience and learning under its belt, which is interesting in and of itself, because they do almost feel like regressed to younger children than they even look like, which is interesting, because I feel like in as a kid you do have like limits to your to your critical thinking, to your processing of information. Like there are things that you will just not be able to grasp yet, and it is interesting that they age very slowly, so their brain also develops very slowly still. Like that's cute. That's intriguing to me. The problem is, oh no, there's grown-ups now and we have crushes, which is apparently natural because, he's, how old is Kirk? Let's not think about it. I did like the joke at the end.
33, 34, something like that.
Yeah, I figured
Something
30s,
like
yeah.
35 maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, because we'll get to that again in the next episode, but
yeah, of course.
That's just with every coupling we encounter in this show. It's very much like, yeah, it's the 60s. He's up in his 30s and she's like barely legal because that's when a woman is at her prime.
Well, hey, the actress who played Miri was 19, the same age
I'm sure, because
as the character in the next episode that he was all
yeah,
up on.
Yeah. I figured. No, I figured she was both being dressed down in terms of age with probably some tape involved and a dress that covers most of everything. But it is very it is indicative in a sense of like she's a young girl, she's developing feelings, but not for people her own age. No, older men, those are interesting, and that is a thing that happens. Absolutely, I'm not denying that reality, but it is
also. Did you see?
I think we have slight more issues with those.
Did you see the other kids? They're not.
Oh yeah, God, I get that she's not into Jan or what John.
John, yeah.
Gotta come up with an alternate Earth name, right? Yeah,
right. And by the way, it's spelled Jahn.
Yeah.
And I was thinking though, like, I don't know how much. I know you've seen. I think you told me you've seen Star Trek Into Darkness. I was just thinking, like, what would have happened? Because if this episode is said to have a villain, it's John.
Mm-hmm.
So watching this time, I couldn't help but wonder, like, what would have been different if in Star Trek 2, instead of going with Khan from Space Seed, they went with John. And instead of Ricardo Montalban's Khan and a group of eugenic soldiers who had been abandoned, instead of that, it was like John and a bunch of like onlys, and they're now infuriated and frustrated that Kirk made them age normally and suffer the rigors of old age,
That's delightful. This is a very fun image. Also, it could still be played by Benedict Cumberbatch because, weird face. Let's make it happen. Yeah,
you can see him like in the jail cell going, "Bonk, bonk on the head." Bonk, bonk.
Yeah, just mumbling forever.
Bonk on the head.
Oh God, yeah, that kid was I didn't have a name, but that was definitely the more unhinged part of this faction, where it's just like, you're a violent kid, honey, you need help. This is before testosterone. You need to be locked up.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
It is a fun, like, it's weird, but it has. They sort of leave the creepy behind eventually, but it is like that scene where he tries to communicate with them as people. Boy, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like Kirk has never encountered a kid, but also mostly these kids just are just too fucking stubborn for anyone's good.
Yeah. I was kind of weirded out, as I usually am when I watch this episode, because I always I feel like my brain pushes it away, like rejects the memory of how
this is not canon. We forget this,
of how creepy Kirk is with Miri. He's like very pretty,
Yeah, and at that point I was like, oh, I am in for a ride.
But what I kind of liked about that was he is charming and seductive enough that makes us feel uncomfortable, but makes it obvious why she started to feel the way she did about him. Like, it was like they turned
he's turning on the same thing we've seen him turn on before. Yeah.
But it was like they almost did it. They didn't show us what really happened. It felt like they were showing us Kirk through her eyes.
I get that. Yeah. Nothing suggests that there is a narrator type gap, but
it's a weird creative choice that they did.
Yeah.
And
because on the surface level, he is not doing anything weird. He's basically mostly keeping her occupied and out of the grown-up conversations, and but trying to be nice to her as a person A, to keep that, like, he instantly knows I need to gain her confidence and keep the if I want to have any chance of reaching them, like, I need to actively be a decent grown-up. But it is mostly emphasized by the way Janice then responds, because she's like, there is that sudden jealousy, and it's not just one-sided, because you have that comment from McCoy. Like, if it was just Miri being upset that he comforts Janice as well, I'd get that. It's a teen girl, whatever. But the fact that Janice is like, oh, he's being very charming to her, and like, oh, and then it's like, no, she's way older than you. Is it McCoy? Might have been Spock. I don't remember.
It was Spock. It was Spock.
Yeah, I figured. I was like, there were ears. Yeah, no. Which was a nice comment, but it was also like, I didn't need this. Like, if everything was regular, you wouldn't be intimidated by some kid, because we can all tell she's a kid.
Well, part of it you can kind of say, like, because they do get progressively more irrational because it's the disease setting in. They said that's what the disease does. That's how it affects people. What I felt like was perhaps a bridge too far. I like on this, because I did not remember this part, and when Spock does mention that, he's like, that little girl is 300 years older than you, or whatever. And like, before he walks away, he like stops and looks back and goes, think about it. Why?
Like, what?
Why?
Think about what?
What is he implying? What
I don't know. I don't need to know. Just no.
It's such a weird line. And they all have like,
think about it. Now it's okay. And at that point, I'm like, okay, there's a reason age of consent is an arbitrary legal construction, because it should really depend on, being able to consent to a thing and developmentally being ready for it, and that differs per person, and blah, 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 blah. Because you really, really don't want to be like, let's treat her like a 300-year-old wise sage. Yeah. She's not.
Yeah. At the same time, if they made it legal, if they made consent legal based on like your mental faculties, the whole human race would die, because
too many dumb people is what you're saying. God damn it.
God, yes.
Oh. Yeah, no, I was thinking of like, it gets difficult with people with disabilities, and where do you draw a line? But sure, lots of regular people are procreating. Folk. Yeah. No, point taken.
Like, I don't know
if this immediately veered into eugenics. Great.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys have Walmarts over in the Netherlands, but
we do not. No.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We have smaller versions of similar stores. Just assume everything's miniature, and then you're pretty close.
Yeah.
I should take you to Madurodam sometime. That would be lovely. Like, this is actual size Netherlands. You'll never get this joke, but that's fine. The two Dutch listeners will. It's yeah.
So if you're one of those two Dutch listeners, please write in. And let us know.
And explain a joke too.
Let us know what you thought of Effie's
attempt at humor.
Crack.
God damn it.
So yeah, I don't want to seem like I was trying to come up or headcanon a reason Kirk is being creepy. He is being creepy. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to say about it. I can't really do anything about it.
It's weird. The think about it from Spock really implies, like, think about it. Every man would like someone really old who still looks really fucking young. Like, what is the implication that is more attractive?
You know, part of...
Because it does imply, like, she's superior to you. She's older.
Yeah.
And at the same time, she looks like she's not 19 because that's very clearly how she's dressed in this context. And
the only the only plus I could think of would be just being able to be like, well, she's like 13, but technically she's 300.
Technically nothing.
So
God, yeah.
It's not anything weird. Like,
yeah, no, I'm not a creep. Jesus. Yeah, no, that's the thing where my brain went, and I'm like, God, this is very accepting of very clear child abuse, but sure, we're at different times.
Also, you know,
thankfully nothing happens.
I also wonder if the intention was Kirk throws on the charm because he has two modes. He has two modes, and that's captain mode and charming a lady. And clearly he doesn't know how to speak to kids. Like,
no.
And
he's just like, this is a female object, so I guess I should turn on the non-captain mode, which is flirty.
I don't think it's an object situation. No, it seems like Kirk is really good at making himself the object, like the sexual object. Like,
yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
like he's like, because he's always playing people. He's always playing people.
Yeah,
so that
he is seductive in a very specific way, where it is like seemingly showing a part of himself that is more sort of vulnerable but he never really loses control. It seems he is very much just there to, like, later admit he might have wanted it to be more, again spoiling some next episode stuff, but there is that sort of balance where you're like, yeah, okay, we're meant to believe he does have feelings and he is sincere in some moments, but usually it is very much a conscious effort to trick someone into trusting him and gaining information or in this case, access to the onlys.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, after he's saying all these nice things to her and she's kind of falling for him, you know, Spock and McCoy pointed out to him, like, well, she likes you, Jim.
Yeah.
But and he acts like, what?
Really?
And
what do you mean? She is so young. I would never.
So are we supposed to believe that Kirk is just playing dumb to Spock and McCoy?
Yeah. Or is he that oblivious with every girl he encounters that is clearly showing interest?
Yeah, and I don't believe that. I think he's just like...
No, it seems weird. It happens too often for him not to know that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
He seems like someone who would be perfectly aware what he's doing, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also seems like the kind of guy who would just be like, yeah, this is not something you guys need to know, so I'm going to act like I'm a dumbass. Yeah.
I'm not doing this on purpose, God. Thanks for telling me, I guess. I will use that trust. I definitely didn't inspire myself consciously.
Yeah. So
but for most of the episode, she's basically being the secretary and just roaming around, reading a bit, and just being in the room and treated as if she can't hear the conversation taking place a couple feet over. But yeah.
Clean this desk out, won't you, Miri? Yes.
Oh, of course, Kirk. Yeah, Jim. Oh, Jim. She said Jim. Yeah. Oh, that doesn't make it better.
So I'm torn on this episode because it's never been one of my favorite episodes. But
I get that.
It is like, it has like an interesting piece of universe building that isn't ever really messed with in canon. With the alternate Earth. And you're just like, I kind of like that. Like, as frustrating as it is, I kind of like that they never explain it, because I like having that weird bit of, one, I really like weird sci-fi fantasy shit that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Doesn't always need a full backstory.
But, you know,
sometimes it's just the concept.
Yeah, and I also like playing with the idea and thinking like, what could you do with that? Like, what would that mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, also this is one of the... it's weirdly like creepy as shit, but also hokey as hell at the same time.
Yeah.
Those kids are creepy.
Yeah, it is a very weird cast in that sense. And the environment is just... it's unsettling in and of itself because it does not quite match the vibe of the show outside of that, like this episode. Like I get that there's practical reasons for having it look like this, but it does very much have that, oh, we're in a Western now. And then it's like, oh no, 1960s, never mind. It's just overrun. And, it's a weird choice in that sense, and indeed the kids are just it is an unsettling thing, but it has that Peter Pan vibe of the to it, and it's not high up on the favorites lists so far, but it is fun enough for some of it, but there is that absolutely that hokiness of like the one action attack thing of, I forgot what her name was, but basically giving her a ride on his back for a minute and then throwing her down while she's doing God knows what. That was like there's a bit of it's not one of the greats. There's just drama for the sake of drama. There's like, oh, the vaccine doesn't work, but it works because time efficiency, I guess, and we don't want to have to save McCoy.
Well, I like that McCoy is just smart enough to figure out the right dosage. Like, okay.
Yeah. No, well, at the same time, that dosage was like it was prepared by Spock in that injection thingy, the very interesting syringe. Hypospray, right? Sure, good to know. That is good to know. What does it do? Does it just spray instead of?
Yeah, it's like a painless little onto your. Well, you
that is a lot easier than having to show a needle going into skin. Fair enough.
Well, it's the future.
That's true. I should know. Yeah,
it's the future.
I mean, it's the future. Let's not think about how vaccines usually like predate the infection with an actual virus, but it's fine. It's a cure. It's an antidote. Let's call it a vaccine just to have the.
They did have samples of they had 2 corpses. They had, everybody there had the virus, so they had some version of it that they could.
No. They had the virus, so it makes sense that they could make a vaccine. But I'm just not entirely sure if provoking an immune response while you're already infected, like if that helps a whole bunch.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not bright
because
in that way.
I like it might, because I'm sure there's people who got COVID and then got the vaccine because they got it pre-vaccine. But then again, that's a weird vaccine in and of itself. But there might be more of that in the future where it's just, fair enough.
Or maybe they just said vaccine when they should have said a cure or something,
Yeah. If I wouldn't be even going down this rabbit hole if they had said antidote or some shit. Like, would have been fine. There's no need for it to be a virus, except viruses are, I guess, more like new and fancy than bacteria or something. So it's whatever.
What did you think of Rand here with Kirk comforting her? And this, by the way, plays into the theory that he doesn't know how to talk to kids. Because not only does he not know how to talk to kids, as it has been shown in previous episodes, he doesn't know how to deal with emotion, like real.
Not at all. He's
emotion.
Just like he can't reciprocate that. It is very much I can hug you, and I've heard that comforts people.
Yeah,
that's the vibe you get from it, and I do like I get the purpose it serves in terms of Miri coming up with a plan to capture Rand, and like it moves the plot along. But besides that, she's also infected. It did reek of a bit of, gender essentialism, where it's like the men get angry at each other and the woman gets cry. Like there's something there where it's like, oh, she's going mad, but she won't get mad. No, she'll cry. Like that felt slightly wrong to me, but it worked out. It had a purpose, but I do agree that he is not great at comforting anyone in distress. It is very much I don't know how to deal with this, but I guess I'll just try something.
Also, if you take into account the naked time, he is attracted to her.
Yeah. And he doesn't mind hugging her. That's for certain.
I think he does, though, because he doesn't give her like a really good embrace. Like he
No, that's true. Like, it is very much a pat on the back. Like, oh, you're all right.
The point is, like, he wants to say these things back to her, but he can't because he's the captain. And he knows he can't because he's the captain. Because, thank God, Kirk at least understands power dynamics.
Very wise. Yeah. It's a thing.
And can't be, seen being, showing that level of emotional weakness around the crew, and there's all these different there's things.
Both hierarchy and some toxic masculinity in there, but it is very clear that he is trying to retain that sense of professionalism at all times.
Yeah, I think I hate the stupid the line I used to try to get you to look at my legs.
God, that's such a weird admission.
It's weird.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand she's infected.
It's also some sort of dramatic reveal where I'm like, yeah, but we already knew you were infected, but now it's taken your beautiful thighs. Oh no, like this is the issue. Like what is the point?
She says, "Look at my legs." And then when he finally does, she moves her hand and covers up the patch.
Yeah, that does not make sense to me.
Yeah, that was weird.
That is a very interesting way of being modest in the wrong moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Very, very strange.
Yeah. I do appreciate the implication of utter professionalism on his part to never even glance at her legs, which is like, sometimes you walk at a certain distance where you would have seen that already.
Yeah.
Like, you don't now need to glance down to see the blue shit coming out. Like, come on, the skirts are short. Like, come on.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, this is her last speaking role on the show. Like,
this is the goodbye.
We see her one more time, briefly.
Mm-hmm.
When she walks out of the turbo lift in the next episode and gives that shitty look to what's her face from the play, and that's it. And this episode,
I had forgotten about that moment, but that's the final thing we see from her. Jesus.
Yep. Now look, here's the interesting. Like, it was this episode's wrap party where she got sexually assaulted by the person she refers to as the executive. Mm-hmm. I think most of us think is Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
And
it's the main reason why you would not say the name is if it's the name. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was fired soon afterwards.
Wonder why.
And she was supposed to be like a main character on the show. So
yeah, clearly.
Actually, when we see her walk out of that turbo lift in the next episode, she already knew she was fired. She shot that scene, and then they rapped on her, and she went out and like bought booze and brought it back to the studio and drank in her dressing room until she was just stupid.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Like that's one way of getting back at the system.
I guess.
I will drink on the lot and y'all can't do nothing to me because I'm already fired.
Yeah, but she struggled with alcoholism for years.
Oh shit. That sucks.
After that.
That's a darn shame.
Let's see.
Maybe don't down a bottle of booze in your dressing room after all. I guess it's not great advice.
Yeah. Walk it back, Effie. Walk it back.
Yeah, gotta remain uncancelled. That is my main objective throughout this series.
You picked a shitty person to do that with.
I am well aware.
It's like every episode of like,
I could have picked much worse people. Yeah, but dick jokes aren't offensive unless people are really attached to their dick, and I'm not, so...
Clearly,
yeah. I'm very glad you got that one immediately.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Where do you suppose your dick is? Like in a jar
by
of
now,
formaldehyde?
by now, just a bunch of atoms. I doubt they keep them.
I would think they would.
I mean,
I imagine
think
doctors
you'd have to
just
sign.
keep them
I think
in,
you'd have to sign a waiver, but also most of what would be left is testicles and not so much parts of the penis, because those are reused.
Oh yeah.
In trying to
That's fair.
graft some sort of vagina. Yeah, no,
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
So most of it is still there, like including the sensitive stuff, which is kind of useful.
Yeah, imagine so. Yeah, I guess. In my mind, I just like to envision like
an entire dick and balls just in a jar. Yeah, that is. Yeah, I figured that would be your imagination.
Yeah, it's just like a dildo in formaldehyde. That's all. That's what I imagine. And for
I mean,
some
I'm
reason,
sure
it's
that
like
could be arranged.
a random supply closet somewhere in like the hospital, and there's just like
And they just collect all of them.
Yeah,
just shelves
just
and
like
shelves.
a collection of them. Yeah.
Oh, you ought to be careful. Like you might get a birthday gift next year that's just a dildo in formaldehyde. You never know.
You know what? I would display it proudly.
I get that. Yeah. I would expect you to, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I'm going to ship formaldehyde internationally, because I doubt you can order like the dildo and the formaldehyde separately and have someone like repackage it together. Like I'd have to do that myself.
Yeah.
But then you get weird questions at the post office. I'll have to think this through for the next couple of months. Yeah.
If you do this, you
I have a lot of time
to
left.
you also have to get me like a shelf that has backlighting so that it can look
yeah, so it glows.
properly eerie, like mad
That's
scientist.
fair. Like some LED light strip. You can make it that sort of light blue, so it looks like the Dr. Manhattan dildo that's from Watchmen on HBO.
Uh-huh.
We've gone off topic, I think. But it's fitting to end on something creepy midway through
This episode's pretty wacky and creepy.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Some of the strangest dialogue to me in this episode, like McCoy saying, "A child entering puberty on this planet means a death sentence." Like that's just like...
Yeah, I get the concept. You've explained it very well, but also that's a weird way to phrase it still.
Yeah. My favorite though is Spock is, for a dude who tries to temper his emotions and tries to be totally emotionless, like
he's bad at it.
This dude says some like dramatic shit.
He's acting out. He has some sassy, yeah.
So they I mean, like he could be like an old school comic book writer, because they're like, this is the vaccine. Well, that's what the computer will tell us. And Spock says, without them, it could be a beaker full of death.
Yes.
Like, why would you say a beaker full of death, Spock?
I mean, you might have Socrates on the mind. Who knows? It's you gotta have some colorful language. Not that kind of colorful language, but some keep it exciting.
Yeah, you gotta throw in a little gravitas.
Yeah, I've heard these writers like Shakespeare, so
yeah,
gotta throw in some lines that are extra heavy.
The line I actually did like, as far as like thought, that's pretty solid. Kirk says, "You two will have to recreate their thinking if we're going to isolate that virus and be able to develop a vaccine." And McCoy says, "Is that all, Captain? We have 5 days,
Yeah, delightful. I just have to, replicate the entire research. Delightful.
So I would be remiss if I didn't alert you to this. I'm going to send you some pictures here, and or I'm going to try to anyway.
I just got a notification from you on Twitter. What the fuck?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's probably a recommended tweet. Oh.
Oh, shit.
It was just odd to be talking to you and be like, are you tweeting while we're casting? I doubt that, but...
All right. Well, you know what? It's not wanting to let me send this to you. So I'm just going to tell you. And it's that okay. Works. So Bill Shatner's daughters, 2 of them, were in this episode. They were some of the onlys.
Oh, sure.
So there's one.
That's why those girls were prominently in frame.
There were a couple, yeah. There was 2 of them were Gene Roddenberry's kids, and 2 of them were Kirk's daughters, and the one girl that he picks up, the one little girl with the red hair that he picks up, that was his daughter.
Of course, yeah. That makes sense.
The 2 of the boys who crept in through the grate and stole the communicators were Grace Lee Whitney, Janice Rand's sons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they tried to get
before Nimoy. They had to watch their mom get drunk in the dressing room, but you know,
I assume they took them home first, but
I figure that was a different day, but yeah,
they tried to get Nimoy to bring his kid, and he was like, "Nope, I don't want my kid anywhere near Hollywood."
Yeah, that is very valid. Good instincts.
Which is funny that he said that because his son went on to become a director.
Never mind. But I mean, that's the safe side of the camera, relatively speaking. You tend not to be a child director.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they should have more of those, frankly. But
I think so.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I want to see what those crazy minds are coming up with.
Yeah, you want like a little kid sitting in the director's seat and be like, "All right, now make him eat a boogie."
Sure, yeah. From which angle, sir? Do we shoot it like from the bottom or like a bottom up perspective?
Yeah, we have to shoot the love scene now. Oh, Mr. Lovey-Dovey, Mr. Lovey-Dovey, bonk bonk on the head.
Yeah, that's the part where I'm just like the eerie na 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 na, like that makes sense. That is perfect. But then the whole weirdo language where it's like, oh, you never learned to speak English is just odd to me. Where like, okay, we're not all 3 years old, right?
Yeah,
you've grown a bit, like most of you. Like,
it is. I don't know if it starts this,
but I guess maybe they were 3 when like 300 years ago it happened. So
yeah, I don't know if it starts this trope, but it definitely felt like a Mad Max kind of situation, or a situation that was like, as in a lot of like post-apocalyptic things where like people are like, in the before times, time.
It is, it is very much, it's the obvious phrase to use, but
yeah, I
feel like there should be some variation. Yeah.
I can't remember. Do you watch Rick and Morty?
I don't. No, I've never started, so I know next to nothing besides that most people misinterpret the shit and like adore the clearly dickhole character. But
yeah, absolutely.
Other than that, very very little information.
There's a fantastic episode where they wind up going to like a Mad Max kind of dystopian, post-apocalyptic thing world, and there's this one guy who keeps referring to it as the before 4.
That's oh god, yeah. Oh
yeah. Look,
I think we're all living in the before 4.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got for this episode.
I think we got enough.
yeah, it's a weird, fun episode, but it's not great.
No, it's not exceptional. It's just odd and fun in some places, and it raises some questions, but it also does make some weird fucking choices.
It does.
But it is interesting again that the ending also reinforces like, yeah, they need teachers and advisors, and like we let them rebuild their society, but not without some fucking guidance, because this is a mess.
Absolutely.
And because they have no way of growing up into anything but even bigger children, and at that point, what are you doing? So it does give a sense of hope. And like I said, I did like the joke at the end of like, I don't get involved with older women. Like, god damn it. It works. It works. I'll take it.
Sure.
It is creepy on other levels of like weirdness, but
All right.
oh well.
All right. Well, if you want to write into the show and give us some feedback on these episodes, you can write in at StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. Or any comment on any of the social media you might find. We're on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called. I always feel like when I accidentally call it Twitter, I'm dead naming the social platform.
I mean, I feel in this case like Elon Musk is purposely like misnaming the actual name of the person. Like I feel like Twitter named itself, and then Elon Musk came in and was like, no, you're still X to me. And it's just like, I never was X. And I don't know, you could twist it around if you'd like.
I have wondered if Elon Musk was trying to make some great point about like how like liberal people are still calling it Twitter. And he's like, you're dead naming it. See, it is hard to
that would be the most petty of defenses. It is very much a grown man being like, this sounds cool, and slapping a sticker onto the building. Like, Christ.
This is totally something Elon Musk would do, though.
Yeah. No, if like, don't give him any ideas, because he will tweet this out in an attempt at edgy humor, and like, oh, God. It will not end well.
We're on Threads, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on X, we're on Facebook. We are all the places. You can find us. You can get in contact with us.
You're good at searching, right? You can Google. It's
Star Trek Universe.
I'm basically only on Insta still, so you know, I'm easy.
You've abandoned the world.
Of
social media.
I have a lurking account for X or Twitter left, but that is not for posting. That's just for occasionally seeing you tweet something funny, and then I close the app again.
Until next time, Joel on True, live long and prosper,
and eat a dick.
And if you can't eat it, put it in a jar full of formaldehyde and send it to me.
That will also work very well. We'll send you a thank you card. Absolutely.
A thank you card?
Well, what are you going to do? Send your own back? Like, I'm not going to overpromise or something we can't deliver. No. Like, we'll thank you on air.
I don't want it to be a real dick. Just, it could be a dildo.
Well, too late now. You said it yourself.
I don't want a dick.
I mean, neither did I, so...
I think we mean different things by that.
That may well be the case.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Roberson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.